Even though Future is renowned as an Atlanta legend and one of the most iconic rappers of all time, he didn't gain that status without fighting. Whether it be destroying the careers of rappers or trying to clone his sound and swag, publicly ranting about his fiance then getting sued by her for $15 million the next day, dissing NFL players in his songs, or even going back and forth with Drake over a 12-year period, Future has had his fair shares of beefs and feuds, which is what I'll be covering today in The Victims of Future. For the first beef, we're gonna have to bring it all the way back to 2011, where Future was signed to Atlanta rapper and label executive Rocko's A1 label. But Future's and Rocko's relationship goes way deeper than a piece of paper, as the two have actually known each other since 2004. During that time, Rocko would actually be working with Atlanta hip-hop group Them Franchise Boys, putting together their album. Now one day, at the time aspiring artist, Future would pull up to the studio with them, where he would meet Rocko. Soon after meeting him, Rocko stated that he took a liking to Future and decided to take him under his wing so he can help him develop as an artist and turn him into a boss.
How did that happen? How did you guys connect?
He came to my studio probably like 2004. I was working with the Franchise Boys at the time. Remember, they had the white tee, and I think they liked me and stuff like that. And I was working with them, putting their album together and stuff. And Future came to the studio with them, and I just picked up on his swag. He was a cool dude, and I took a liking to him. And I took him under my wing,
From then on, Rocko would take Future to every studio session and every business meeting to show him the ways of the music industry. For example, Future would be in the studio with Rocko when he created his hit single, I'ma Do Me, which peaked at number 66 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 2007. Or when Rocko would take Future to a label meeting with LA Reid, Rocko knew the potential Future had, so using his resources, Rocko would support the upcoming artist in his journey to stardom.
And he's been with me ever since, Like even when I did my first deal with Def Jam, and I went and met with LA Reid, I brought Future with me, and I took him in the office with me, and I sat him down right next to LA Reid. LA Reid was like, man, who is this guy? I'm like, this is my little brother, and he need to witness this, because, I'm grooming him to be a boss,
So you told LA Reid, a boss, that you're grooming him to be a boss.
Yeah.
That's dope.
On the 1st of March in 2010, Rocko would release his Wildlife mixtape, and due to the positive feedback, he would re-release the tape as an independent album in the June of that year, with the project featuring guest appearances from Future, who appeared on the tracks 9 Times Out of 10, Up, and Just around a year after featuring on Wildlife in 2011, Future would officially sign to Rocko's A1 label, a contract which stated he had to release 6 albums under the A1 umbrella, which if you think about it, Future probably didn't get a lot of money since this is his first contract, yet he has to release 6 entire albums. It probably wasn't a great deal on Future's side. Very soon after signing, Future would begin fulfilling his potential as he would drop his debut single, Tony Montana, co-written by Rocko in the September of 2011, which would act as the lead single to his debut album, Pluto. Just a month later, in November, Rocko and Future would continue showing off their talents with their song, Squares Out Your Circle, which currently sits on 25 million views on YouTube. Now eventually, in the April of 2012, Future would release his debut album, Pluto, which Rocko executively produced and co-wrote 5 tracks on. The album featured artists such as R. Kelly, Snoop Dogg, Drake, T.I., and Juicy J, however, was overall faced with mixed critics. The project did help Future break into the mainstream limelight though, especially with his song Turn On The Lights, produced by Mike Will Made It, as the song would peak on the 50th spot on the Billboard Hot 100 charts, which effectively launched both the artist and producer's career. Now with Future having actual commercial success, other labels were starting to snoop in on him, those ones that can offer multi-million-dollar advances. Later in 2012, after releasing Pluto, Future would meet up again with Epic Records CEO LA Reid and sign a major joint venture deal with Epic Records, which also included a home for his label Free Bands Entertainment. Basically, in summary, Future signed a huge deal with Epic where he got a fat multi-million-dollar advance. Future would state in an interview with XXL how he felt signing with LA Reid's Epic Records was a perfect move due to the fact Rocko and his cousin Rico Wade also signed to Epic. 20 years ago, Rico was in his office doing his deal. 4 years ago, Rocko was about to do a deal with Interscope and LA called my phone looking for Rock. The day before Rock was going to sign with Interscope, we met with LA and he locked the door and said, "I'm not letting you out until you sign with me." When I did my deal a month ago, I was about to sign with Geffen and had a meeting with LA the day before. When we went to the meeting and we played the music, Rock was like, "I don't like the situation, the door is unlocked, that means we can walk out." At first, LA didn't understand what he was saying, then he said, "Man, lock that door." That's when I knew everything was right. But wait, you guys remember how I said Future signed to Rocko's A1 label back in 2011 and had to release his next 6 albums under that label? Well yeah, supposedly Future signed this major deal with Epic behind Rocko's back, which of course violated the original contract he had with him. Now even though Future practically betrayed Rocko at this point, they still continued working together, and in 2013 helped craft hits for Future such as UEONO and Chosen One. Now over the years, as we all know, Future would continue dropping music that would make him one of the biggest rappers ever, but in 2016, Future would unfortunately face some legal issues. Rocko would sue Future for over $10 million for allegedly breaching his 2011 contract which he signed with A1, as Future was supposed to release his first 6 albums under the label. Rocko believes he has owned 25% of Future's advances from Epic, as well as another 20% of his earnings from touring, merchandise and endorsements, altogether totaling more than $10 million. In response to the lawsuit, Future would put out a series of tweets. "Call them people and tell them you were just playing, Brody. I don't want my fella looking like no baby mama. My dog gave a statement. Real street fella went to courthouse, how did it feel when you signed the papers?" To which Rocko would respond to with his own set of tweets. "Lord knows I haven't seen a courthouse in ages, that's what lawyers are for. Old homie of mine once told me just let the lawyers handle it." Rocko would also post a clip of Future praising him on Instagram, which he would caption, "Me and my fella were together every day. That was my MFing brother. Anything I did, I always made sure he was right there to be a part of it."
So how long have you been working with Rocko and Rocky Road's situation?
Yeah, me and Rock been working forever. Like, it's been years and years putting in. Like, even when he did I'ma Do Me, the whole time before he did I'ma Do Me, I was always right there with him in the studio. When he did his deal with LA, and I was right there with him, going to the office, going to the labels, walking through the labels. When he doing his phoners, I'm right there with him doing it. You know what I'm saying? Sitting right there with him. When he in the interviews, I might not be on the camera, but I was probably right over there behind the camera, looking at him. So I always was right there the whole time. It was just, I know how to play my position. Everybody got to play.
Now honestly, so far from what we know, Future broke the contract terms which led to Rocko losing out on millions. If Future agreed to release 6 albums under A1, but then signs to Epic and gets millions of dollars in an advance, with Rocko getting nothing, I can understand why he's suing, especially as Rocko helped Future out significantly in the beginning of his career, with Future now practically stabbing him in the back. Now this original lawsuit was launched in the June of 2016. However, just 3 months later in September, Future would file a counter lawsuit, saying he didn't have an exclusive agreement with A1, and would also say that Rocko is the one that actually screwed him over by never covering his recording costs or paying advances, resulting in a $100,000 counter lawsuit. Now let's fast forward to the February of 2017, when Future would be doing a Q&A on Twitter under the hashtag AskFuture, where a fan would ask, "A new album this week? Are you doing this because of Rocko?" Which is the fan probably suggesting Future is releasing a lot of music because he is losing a lot of money due to the lawsuit Rocko filed against him. Now Future would respond, denying the claims that he's dropping the album because of Rocko, and would go on to make fun of him, saying this is what people do when they're going broke, referring to the fact Rocko is suing him.
A new album this week. Are you doing this because of Rocko? No way in the I'm doing this for money. But at the same time, you know what I'm saying? Took care of, we working, we richer than ever, you know what I'm saying? When they go broke, they do dumb shit, so I don't know what's going on, but at the end of the day, we making hits, we making history. You want to be a part of history, you gotta do something tag along, so hey, that's what it is, tag along.
Just a day after Future took shots at Rocko, the A1 CEO would make a longer Instagram post showing love to Future and would explain how the lawsuit only exists because Future told him to let the lawyers handle it. The truth be told, I've always believed in Lil Bro, that's why I signed him. When I post this stuff on my page, it's out of genuine support. No funny I don't even rock like that. Future and I could have sat down like men and settled this easily ages ago. Not sure what his reasons were, but I respect it. Only reason it's even a lawsuit in place is because he said let the lawyers handle it. I'm not out here trying to take advantage of anyone. All I want is my percentage we agreed upon. Nothing more, nothing less. I understand he feels away, hell I would too if I was sued. I'm not mad at him for being mad at me. If it's ever a time when he wants to sit down like a man, I'm with it. But on some real homie works hard and is very talented and deserves all of his success. I will always support my boy regardless. Pre-order his album, The Don. Future would quickly respond, not showing the same love back and even attempted to expose Rocko for taking advantage of him. You posted cause I'm the fella? On gang though. You gon' die fake fella. You embrace me as a brother at my worst and try to play me. Ain't talked to you in years fella. Ain't no fella on earth gon' take with consequences. Judge or no judge fella, you a con artist. Now it seems like Rocko didn't appreciate the fact Future called him a con artist. So in response he would make an Instagram post with the caption, I wasn't a con artist when I made sure you got a look in all my videos though. Ole camera shy ass fella. Suggesting that Future is only calling him out because now he's made it, whereas in the past he needed Rocko to help him advance in his career. Now this feud would continue getting worse, as in the May of 2017, Rocko would file documents to the court requesting that Future puts all his money from the upcoming Nobody Safe tour in an escrow account, which was estimated to be upwards of $5 million, with the idea being that this money set aside can be used to pay off the $10 million lawsuit Future is fighting. But eventually, 18 months into their legal battle, in the December of 2017, TMZ would obtain court documents that revealed both sides requested for dismissal of the case, meaning the two parties sorted things out outside of court. Rocko's lawyers would also tell TMZ that Rocko was happy with the very successful result, but wouldn't share an exact figure, with TMZ stating that the sources suggest it was a 7-figure payout for Rocko. Now even with such a long and expensive feud, the duo would actually reunite in the September of 2019, as Rocko appeared as a surprise guest on the Atlanta stop of Future's Legendary Nights tour, and the two rappers performed their much loved 2013 song, Chosen One. Now honestly, this beef seemed a little bit weird to me. Rocko helped out Future immensely in the beginning of his career, helping him make connections, taking him to business meetings, producing for him and even signing him, just for him to turn around and sign to Epic while trying to keep all the money and abandoning his friend. But I mean, in the end, they both won. Rocko got his lawsuit money, Future is one of the biggest rappers in the world, and the two even became buddy again, so at least we got a happy ending. For this next beef, we're gonna have to bring it back to 2011, just after Future signed to Rocko's A1 label and dropping his debut single, Tony Montana. Now just a couple months after the release of the song, in the September of that year, Drake would actually hop on the song and do a remix, which was a huge moment for Future, as this was his first ever official release, and to have Drake, who at the time was already a big figure in hip hop, as just a year prior he released his #1 Billboard charting album, Thank Me Later, this turned Future's song into a breakout hit. Now just a month after, in the October of 2011, Future would drop a music video to his single Tony Montana, but Drake was nowhere to be spotted, which didn't really make a lot of sense as they just released a remix a month ago and now he's releasing a solo music video to the song. Well, just around a week after the music video dropped, Future would do an interview with The Source TV, where he would explain how Drake's absence from the video felt like a slap in the face and that many Atlanta-based artists wanted to get on the song, but he chose Drake.
You know, he wasn't in the video.
Yeah, but I salute him just for even getting on the record, because it says a lot about his character for him to just get out and step in it. Because it was a hot record, so he did take it to give his fans a chance to listen to what he had to come out, what he had to say on Tony Montana, and giving his fans a chance to hear Future for the first time. Why I choose you to get on my record out of all people. So many people from Atlanta wanted to get on this song. And it just like, basically a slap in my face, because They like, baby, you should have did it for somebody from Atlanta who was gonna get in the video, who wanted to be part of your video, and you go outside Atlanta and you try to get something different. I really wanted to give Atlanta something different, and when it turned up into being a slap in my face.
As we can see, Future was upset, but overall he was still grateful that he even remixed his debut single in the first place, giving him exposure many artists would kill for in the beginning of their career. But little did Future know that Drake would actually do an interview around the same time, laughing at the fact he missed someone's video shoot, which would in fact be for Future's Tony Montana.
It was just like, you know, I had an option. Like, I was in New York City doing press, you know what I'm saying? They wanted me to stay. Actually, this is gonna sound terrible, but I was supposed to shoot somebody's music video today. I didn't go because I wanted to come here.
But this really was just a small bump in their relationship and wouldn't become anything significant as the two would continue working together. In an interview Drake did in late 2012, he stated, "Future is probably one of my favorite people to come to the studio with just based off his work ethic. He inspires me, it makes me want to go home and cook up some new stuff." And Future had the same thoughts about Drake, stating, "With the chemistry that we have, we just feed off each other. We'll come up with it by the second, we come up with hits easy. We ain't been around for each other that many times. We've probably been in the studio 3-4 times, but every time we go in the studio, we come out with magic, easy." And the two weren't lying about the chemistry they were building, as on the 11th of January in 2013, the duo would drop their second collaboration together, For Real, and just 2 weeks later would both appear on Lil Wayne's track Love Me, with the latter having incredible success, peaking at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. Future would actually be asked about a potential collaboration tape with Drake, where it seemed like Future didn't want to give the fans too much information, as he answered right around the question. "When we in the studio, we be in the zone, like me and Dude be in a super zone, we be on the same page. He could turn on the beat and be like, damn, I was thinking that, we find ways to build from it. It's just finding the time to try to make it happen, to squeeze it in there." However, in 2013, it wouldn't be all roses and sunshine in the two's relationship, as in the August of that year, Future would call out Drake, as he thinks he inspired the hook to Drake's hit song Started From The Bottom, where in return, all Drake got him was a bottle of champagne.
I saw an interview with my man Shaheem Reed, where you said that you, one verse that you wish that you would have been on, or one hook or one feature that you wish you would have been on was Started From The Bottom.
Yeah, he was in the studio session with me. That's when I had the chosen one. And I was like, started, when you make it from the bottom, you the chosen one. So, but we was at the studio, Drake came by the studio, and I always tell my engineer, started from the bottom. So when I put the beats on, I was like, man, put the beats in. So I always said, started from the bottom. So when I say started from the bottom, he thought I was talking about a song. So when I played Chosen One, he loved the Chosen One, but he was waiting for me in this and Chosen One to say started from the bottom. So he said instantly, he telling me this story. He bought me a bottle of Louis XIII that I never opened up because of this story. And I'm like, man, I want a bottle, I need publishing. You know what I'm saying? But
now, even though Future laughed it off in the interview saying he wants the publishing, behind the scenes he was probably crying as Started From The Bottom became an absolute hit, peaking at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart and even winning a BET award for Track of the Year. So yeah, Future probably missed out on a huge check. Now, even though at this point in time Future was cracking jokes and being all buddy-buddy with Drake, things will take a dark turn later in that year. After releasing Nothing Was the Same in the September of 2013, Drake announced a tour for the project called Would You Like a Tour, with Future being scheduled to be an opening act. However, just before the tour was about to set off, Future made some comments to the press which didn't sit right with Drake, which ultimately got him exiled from the tour. Future would do an interview with Billboard in which he compared his Honest album to Drake's Nothing Was the Same project. Future said, "Drake made an album that is full of hits, but it doesn't grab you. They're not possessive, they don't make you feel the way I do. I want to make you want to fall in love." Future's team immediately contacted Billboard to remove his statement as it was supposedly taken out of context, to which Future would follow up with his own tweet trying to cool down the situation. "Respect to Billboard, disappointed on being misquoted, always love for my fam, Drizzy Drake." With sources close to Drake telling blog pages that he was not happy with the interview. Apparently, he told his agent either Future gets fired or he'll fire him. Now, supposedly, negotiations were opened up again to restore Future's opening slot, though in the end, Future's camp left on their own accord after refusing Drake's request for financial compensation. And just 3 days before the tour even began, rumors would begin spreading on the internet that Future would be suing Drake for $1.5 million in lost wages. However, Drake would later on reveal that Future was actually never removed from the tour and would remain as an opener, as Future himself would tweet a day before the opening stop that he's back in Atlanta preparing for the tour. After this, the two would continue working closely together. In 2014, the duo would feature on P. Rain's track DNF, and Drake would feature on Future's Never Satisfied from his second album, Honest. Drake would also take it upon himself to remix Future's with Drake's verse featuring subliminal jabs that fans theorize were aimed at Kendrick Lamar, which you'll need to remember for later. I hear you talk about your city like you run that, and I brought my tour to your city, you my son there fella. Now moving into 2015, the duo would take things to the next level. Future with his classic #1 charting Dirty Sprite 2 album, with Drake being the only feature on the project on the hit song Where You At. Where in that same year, Drake would release If You're Reading This It's Too Late, also debuting at the #1 position. In the beginning of this year, Drake and Future would also tour North America on their Jungle Tour. Now with the two being the hottest artists in that year, they would come together and work on a collaborative tape, which Drake stated happened on accident. I went to Atlanta for 6 days a couple weeks ago with the hopes of doing some songs with Future, and when you get around Future, it's like a vortex. This guy can outwork anybody right now. Eventually towards the end of 2015, Future and Drake would have 11 complete songs, which was impressive considering they recorded them in 6 days. And just a day before its release, the two would announce What a Time to Be Alive, with Atlanta-based producer Metro Boomin producing 9 out of the 11 tracks on the tape. The two already had their own projects reach the #1 position this year, so of course this one went #1 as well. But the two didn't stop there, as they would also announce their Summer 16 nationwide tour, which would begin on the 20th of July in 2016, with the tour grossing $84.3 million from 54 stops. And they would keep going, as throughout the years they would continue making hits. Future would appear on Drake's Views, Dark Lane demo tapes and Certified Lover Boy, whilst Drake would feature on Future's self-titled album, with the two also coming together to drop their smash hit Life Is Good. Over time, the two became a super close duo, with both of them supporting each other immensely, constantly featuring on each other's songs, performing together, going to clubs together, Future rapping OVO, and Drake supporting free bands. It would all be going well for the two until 2022, as something would start becoming very unusual between the two. Firstly, in April, Future would drop his album I Never Liked You, with Drake featuring on the project twice. Now one of the songs with Drake, Wait For You, ended up becoming a hit, peaking at #1 on Billboard, with them even dropping a music video together for the song. However, after this track, we wouldn't see or hear of the duo again. They wouldn't ever perform the song together live, despite both Drake and Future performing it by themselves several times over the last 2 years. They barely promoted or spoke about their hit song. They wouldn't be seen in public together anymore and were no longer showing love to each other on social media. Fans were beginning to notice something was off between the duo, and little did fans know, this would actually be the last song between Drake and Future.
You don't think it's weird that nothing ever happened with that hit smash song that Future and Drake made with Tim's?
What do you mean? Nothing
Wait For You?
It was a hit.
When you say,
it was a hit.
When you say what?
No, it was a hit. It was a smash.
So what you mean? Nothing happened with it.
Never heard it again. That's weird.
It don't come on.
That's weird for you to have that smash.
It don't come on.
And both of y'all act like it don't exist. That's weird.
And things would continue getting heated when Drake and 21 Savage teamed up for their collaborative tape, Her Loss, with rumors surfacing online that Future was upset with Drake that he decided to do another collaborative tape with a different artist, instead of teaming up again to do What a Time to Be Alive 2, which was actually theorized by fans to be in the making, which again could have added fuel to the fire. The rumor would begin after American rapper Nor turned up at the Breakfast Club and explained how he was supposedly told in Miami that Future wasn't feeling great about Her Loss.
Future and Drake? Oh, that's what I heard. I heard that's a big rumor that Future is not too happy this Drake and 21 Savage album. And because Future and Drake did an album before. And it makes Drake and Future album not as important, I would say.
That's what he feels.
And that's, I mean,
Allegedly.
this is allegedly, this is all rumors. I never heard it from Future's mouth, never heard it from Drake, never heard it from 21, but it's a alleged big rumor that's going on right now. Yeah, but I think it's more so when you do a whole album with 21 Savage, and with all due respect to 21 Savage, it's like you're putting 21 Savage on that level now. Like, even though he probably was on that level, but now you're putting him on that level. You're putting him on the level of Future. You know what I'm saying? And Future is arguably one of the most influential artists ever. Like, you know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
I don't think there's nothing to argue.
Even though there was minor speculation, at this point in time in late 2022, the majority of people brushed her off and just told the unemployed, chronically online people to have a day off. I mean, just look at the responses to when a fan posted lyrics from Her Loss suggesting Drake was dissing Future. Lol, Future doesn't appear on one Drake project and you kids start talking crazy. Yeah, they reaching. Indeed.com, which is a job searching website. Just around a year later, Drake would release his 8th studio album For All the Dogs, with Future, one of his biggest collaborators, not featuring on the project. Yet had artists such as Yeet, Tizo Touchdown, Sexy Red, Chief Keef, and many other not frequent collaborators on the project, but not Future? Things were beginning to add up, I guess you could say. And with the fact that Future did not post or promote Drake's album at all on social media, which he usually does, these rumors and theories were starting to seem more and more legit by the day. But it would all soon come to light when Future and Metro Boomin would come together for their collaborative project We Don't Trust You in the March of 2024, full of disses and shots at Drake. On the opening track of the album We Don't Trust You, Future says the lines, "You a fella #1 fan dog, sneak dissin' I don't understand dog, pillow talking acting like a fed dog, I don't need another fake friend dog, can't be about a hoe cause we sharing dog, in your feelings fella while you playing dog." Now this verse would reveal to fans that Future and Drake were actually beefing about a girl called Just Tokyo, with fans interpreting these lines as Future accusing Drake of pillow talking with Tokyo about him. In September 2023, Tokyo was at Drake's It's a Blur tour in Miami, spotted backstage. A few months later, in March 2024, she posted a picture of herself backstage at Future's Rolling Loud show, wearing his merch, and has been linked romantically to Future for years. So it seemed like the split between the two could have been due to Drake sleeping with Future's girl. Unlike that with Kendrick Lamar, who you'll remember was dissed by Drake when he remixed Future's Shit in 2013, on this track Future would repeat, "Young dope dealer selling dope, is you like that? Kicking doors, kicking in doors, is you like that? Young throat fella saying loads, is you like that?" With these bars supposedly being aimed at Drake, questioning if he really is about that street life like he claims he is, even though he comes from a good background. Where he would even reference Drake started from the bottom in the line, "Fellas from the bottom really like that." Again, questioning Drake's street persona, and again, if you remember, Future was upset at the fact he never got publishing from Drake's Started From The Bottom, which he claims he inspired. Fans on social media would also start the rumor that Drake and Future were beefing over a girl that goes under the name Princess Diana. Well, on We Don't Trust You, one of the songs would be titled Magic Don Juan Princess Diana. However, the girl herself would come out on social media to deny the rumors, and Metro himself would state on Twitter, "Your fellas stop making stuff up for engagement and enjoy the music." But Drake wouldn't fail to entertain the rumor, as at a show a couple days later after the release of the album, he would have the real Princess Diana displayed on screen at his tour. Now, right now, you might think this beef spawned a bit out of nowhere. It was just all small rumors until Future and Metro dropped We Don't Trust You. Well, we actually need to go back to when Drake and 21 Savage dropped Her Loss, which seemingly was full of sneak disses at Future and even Metro. Fellas ain't got love for the boy, so they fake it, crack a couple jokes to some bitches on some snake. But if I send a verse to their ass, then they'll take it, shoot a video arm around me like we aces, or pop out on my show, jump around with me on stages. With this of course being a potential diss at Future, saying he shows him fake love so they can collaborate to boost his career, but behind the scenes he talks bad about him and even pillow talks to women about him. Some fans even speculated that this diss was aimed at Metro. Now the song I'm reading the lyrics from is More M's, which is the only track on the album Metro Boomin produced. Crack a couple jokes on some snake. Apparently, Metro was actually talking bad on Drake to women he was sleeping with, which would actually be confirmed by DJ Academics.
So the chicks that Metro be pillow talking with, it's a deep dislike for Drake.
but if I send a verse that they ask, then they'll take it. Well, back in 2022, when Metro was working on Heroes and Villains on the song Trance, Drake wanted to hop on the song, which he did. However, Metro ended up getting rid of Drake's verse as he felt like the song was already complete.
What happened with the Trance record? Because Drake, obviously that his verse leaked. Why did that version not make the album?
I was just in the studio with Drake one time. Then he heard that one and really wanted to get on it. He hit me and was just like, man, let me see anything he could add to it. And then he was like, if you don't like it, then whatever. So he did some stuff. A couple parts was cool, but like I just felt like just even with like slime verse and trap verse and the outro, it was just already like it just really wasn't no room. It was just wasn't no room. It wasn't nothing personal. It just wasn't no room.
So Metro left Drake off of Trance, but apparently Metro then ended up leaking the version of the song with Drake's verse on it anyways, which could have made Drake feel some type of way. As he said in the lyrics, Metro was talking about Drake behind the scenes, yet when he offers to record a verse for him, he'll take it and then leak it. So was he trying to get the clout that he had a Drake verse? Metro would also leak the original version of 21 Savage's Knife Talk without the Drake feature, which fans presumed was due to Metro feeling betrayed that Savage gave the song to Drake to put on Certified Lover Boy, instead of saving it for Metro's and 21 Savage's collaborative tape Savage Mode 2. And to continue making matters worse, Metro would publicly diss Drake's Her Loss, which he produced one track on. Yet Her Loss still keeps winning Rap Album of the Year over Heroes and Villains, proof that award shows are just politics and not for me. I don't care about awards honestly. The true award and reward is knowing that the music I spend so much time on brings joys to people's everyday lives. Metro would quickly delete the tweet, but not quick enough for Drake not to see, as he would post on his Instagram story quoting his song Keep the Family Close. Anytime people want to start problems, it's like, for real, are you dumb? You know who mans are. I'm not afraid no gyal heart man, and I'm not afraid of no kyati. I'm not afraid of no waist suit neither, so anybody who wants it can get it. Drake would then go on to call out tweeters and deleters in one of his kick streams, which fans presumed was aimed at Metro, as Metro just deleted his tweet which was aimed at Drake's album.
And to the rest of you, the non-believers, the underachievers, the tweet and deleters, you guys make me sick to my stomachs, fam. Honestly, if you guys want to look in my eyes, you guys want to do something? You guys, that's what I thought. No, that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Metro would then respond to this by posting this video of people laughing and saying it's not that serious, where he would later on respond to a fan saying the beef is not serious. So it seemed like Future wasn't the only one beefing Drake, and it was also his right-hand man, Metro, was also having issues with him, which once again seemed like it was due to girls or with the fact that Drake abandoned the What a Time to Be Alive 2 project, which Metro was probably going to produce the entirety of. Now back to Her Loss, and this is towards Future. What happened to that fella claiming OVO? We traded him. This was as well speculated to be a diss at Future. As you may know, throughout the years, Future has always repped OVO, shouted them out in his songs, wore the chains and the merch, but now Drake is saying they basically kicked him out. On Rich Flex, Drake would say, put clicking up so they don't feel alone, which could be him referring to the fact Future and Metro are teaming up and attacking him. Now fans wouldn't only go back to Drake's Her Loss, but they would also revisit For All the Dogs, and more specifically the song What Would Pluto Do, which at the time of the release fans perceived as Drake paying homage to his longtime friend, but now with all the drama circulating the two, fans were speculating it was actually a diss.
What would Pluto do? We f***ed the hoe, so I did it. What would Pluto do? We f***ed the hoe, so I did it.
We gotta revisit it.
Yeah.
Sassy ass diss now.
So the question is, what would Pluto do? He'd f the hoe, so I did it. What would Pluto do? He f the hoe, so I did it. What would Pluto do? He definitely f on his hoe. This further supports the theory that the two are beefing over a woman and that Drake did what Future would do and sleep with his girl. Now let's get out of the past and move to the 19th of April in 2024, when Drake would drop his response track to all the disses he was facing, Push-Ups. Drake opens up the song, instantly sending shots at Future. I could never be nobody #1 fan. Your first #1, I had to put it in your hand. The first line about not being someone's #1 fan was a direct response to Future's line line on We Don't Trust You, where he said, "You a fella #1 fan dog." Then Drake's second line, "Your first #1, I had to put it in your hand," is him referencing the fact that Drake got Future his first #1 song with their 2021 collab, Way Too Sexy, on Certified Lover Boy. "I'm out in Tokyo because I'm big in Japan. Remember that girl earlier, just Tokyo, the one spotted backstage at Drake's concert, then later on spotted in Future's We Don't Trust You merch? Yeah, this pretty much seals the deal. Future and Drake were beefing over this girl called Japan." The line was a direct reference to the Instagram model, as it couldn't have been about Drake actually doing a show in Tokyo, as he has never been booked in Japan. Drake would also diss Metro on push-ups. "Metro, show your hoe ass up and make some drums, fella," which honestly is pretty self-explanatory. Drake is trying to put Metro in his place. Basically, you're a producer, make your beats and go home. And on his next diss, Family Matters, Drake would honestly reveal the truth behind the beef and his hatred for Metro. "Pluto me sick to my stomach. We ain't never been really through it," which is Drake saying that this feud with Future makes him very upset, as they have never been in a situation like this before. Leland Wayne, he a lame, so I know he had to be an influence. These fellas had a plan and they finally found a way to rub you into it. 2 separate albums dissing, I just did a Kim to it. Fella, skim through it. Leland Wayne is in fact Metro Boomin's government name. In these lines, Drake is confronting Metro about the fact he was the one that lured Future into this beef, saying he basically started it and executed it. Drake would also expose Metro, as allegedly one of Metro's friends slept with his girl, which Metro would later deny on his Twitter. The drum thing was laughable, so I let it slide, but what we're not going to do is spread lies and have my loved ones involved. Nobody ever hit my girl, fella, we grew up together. She's a real woman and not even in industry, but I guess. So overall, it seems like the beef between Future and Drake was either due to issues over a woman, or Future and Drake didn't actually have a lot of issues with each other. Metro, however, dragged him into this beef with Drake, which made things look bigger than they actually were. And Drake seems to acknowledge the fact that Metro dragged Future into this, so maybe in the future we will see the two get back together. Like seriously, those bars on Family Matters, it seemed like Drake was forgiving, or at least understood Future's situation, that he was really set up by Metro, when in reality, Future may have not had that many issues with Drake himself. And actually, as I'm making this video, Young Thug from jail would put out a tweet trying to get everyone back together. At Drake, at Future, at Metro Boomin, we all brothers, music ain't the same without us collabing, which Future himself would retweet. So it seems like we really need Young Thug to be freed so we can get this trio back together making hits. Now Future wouldn't be only beefing rappers throughout his career, as his feuds would also include his ex-fiancée and NFL players. Ciara is an American singer and songwriter that rose to prominence with her debut studio album Goodies in 2004. Her and Future would begin dating in 2012, but wouldn't really be in the public's eye until the January of 2013, as the two went for dinner in Beverly Hills, which got the attention of the mainstream media. Future would end up making it official later that month in an interview, as he will talk about their relationship. "The chemistry is there, it's amazing, she makes me happy, I make her smile." The two would even end up collaborating musically, as Future would feature on Ciara's Where You Go and Body Party remix, with the two being ready to escalate things very quickly.
Like married and children, like is this it?
Hey, it's it. This it.
This is it.
Yeah, I don't get into nothing to get out.
Is there a date set? Have you set a date?
No, we haven't set a date.
But this is the one.
This is the one.
Towards the end of the year, the duo would then announce that they were officially engaged, with the engagement ring Future gave Ciara doubling as a birthday gift, a 15-carat emerald cut diamond designed by Aviane & Co, worth over $500,000, with the two heading into 2024 very strong, as they would also reveal that they have a baby on the way, where eventually in the May of 2014, a baby Future would be born, with this being Future's 4th child. But things will turn sour very quickly, as apparently just 3 months after their baby was born, Future would be caught cheating on Ciara with his wardrobe consultant Tyrena Lee, with of course this completely ending their relationship, as after finding out Future cheated, she returned her engagement ring and got rid of her letter N tattoo, standing for Future's name, Nevadius, which marks the end of their relationship. But even though their relationship ended just 14 months in, things wouldn't be left in the past very easily. In the January of 2015, just 1 month after removing her Future tattoo, she dropped her breakup anthem I Bet, which is said to address ex-Future's alleged cheating. I bet you start loving me as soon as I start loving someone else, somebody better than you. I bet you start needing me as soon as you see me with someone else, somebody other than you, and I know that it hurts. You know that it hurts your pride, but you thought the grass was greener on the other side. But Ciara wouldn't only be talking about Future in her music, but would also begin firing shots at him in public. In the July of 2015, Future would not only announce his album Dirty Sprite 2, but also a 5-part documentary called Like I Never Left, where in the first installments he would speak about his struggles with Ciara. The first bump in their relationship he would talk about was after they just achieved their first hit together, the Body Party remix, with Future wanting Ciara to continue working with him and his producer Mike Will made it, but instead she returned to the renowned pop producer Dr. Luke, which put Future off. We just made a hit together and you don't want to continue making more music because you want to be seen as a pop star? The next issue Future would talk about was how Ciara demanded to have a big extravagant wedding that will have mainstream press, whereas Future wanted to keep it simple and on the down low. Now it seemed like Ciara caught news that Future was making her look bad, so she fired back on Twitter. Some person is so dishonest and ignorant that they don't deserve a response. Furthermore, one's main focus should be on being a good parent, which was basically Ciara standing her ground whilst also trying to expose Future for not being a great father. Now during this period, it would also be released to the public that Ciara was now dating Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson, where in a Q&A with San Diego pastor Miles McPherson, he would announce that the couple were actually practicing abstinence for religious reasons, meaning they weren't having fun time together. Now surely after this information was put out by Russell, Future saw this as an opportunity to have an easy shot at his ex, as he would state to the HuffPost Live, "God told me something else, he didn't tell me to wait. I guarantee you that, we prayed afterwards though. After we did it, we prayed." That's a true story. Basically laughing at Russell saying he didn't have to wait to have fun time with Ciara, but he does. And Future would continue talking about Ciara and her new man, as on the Breakfast Club, Future would complain about Russell spending too much time with Future's kid, as paparazzi would release pictures of the NFL quarterback pushing Future's child in a stroller.
Of course I wouldn't want somebody to push my son. Like, that's the #1 rule. Like,
I agree.
If I was a kid and my mama had a dude pushing me, I would have jumped out the stroller and slapped the shit out of him.
I agree. I felt the
You
same
never
way.
do that in our community.
No.
You don't even bring a man around your son for. You ain't even know this dude for a few months and you bring him around your kid. Who does that? Nobody does that.
As a man, he shouldn't do that. He should be like, nah, I'm not doing that.
But you know, he probably didn't know that she set him up. You got nannies, you got assistants around you. Anybody could have pushed a stroller. You let them people catch that photo because you know what it is. But at the end of the day, I'm not for the publicity stunts. Leave my son out of all the publicity stunts, or just leave him out of your relationship, because we don't need your relationship for anything. I can take care of him on my own.
Right.
But just a month later in August, Ciara would clap back at Future, stating that she took care of his kids early on in their relationship. So why is there now a double standard when Russell takes care of her kids? It's a bit of a double standard. When we were together, I took care of his kids as well at a very young time in our relationship. To which a month later, in an interview with XXL, Future would say that Ciara bringing little Future around Russell Wilson and bringing him into the public was evil. I feel like a lot of moves are made just out of being evil, basically. Because, you know, the success of my album and you still want to make certain moves to take the spotlight off me a little bit and shed light on a negative situation. Why would you want to put light on a negative situation? Even if I don't care about it, the people have a way of looking at it. Why would you want to give these people an opinion on our kid? Why don't we just let our child be a child? Why would you put him in the spotlight, paparazzi taking pictures for the rest of his life, and then when he come to a point of his life where there's adversity right in his face, he don't know how to take it because he feel like somebody's going to be there to save him. You don't put him in a situation where he feel like he gotta reach out, he can't get himself through this. And Future wouldn't stop there, as in the January of 2016, he would let off a lot of steam in a rant on his Twitter. This B got control problems. I gotta go through lawyers to see baby Future. The f***ery for 15k a month. I just want baby Future, that's all. I've been silent for a year and a half. I ran out of patience. Well, honestly, I think we can understand Future's anger if Ciara is making him pay 15k a month in child support when she's probably making more than enough on her own, especially with her NFL quarterback now, and then making him go through lawyers to see his own child. That's evil. Now, rather than engage with Future in a back and forth, a month later in February, Ciara would hit Future with a $15 million lawsuit. According to court documents obtained by TMZ, Ciara is taking legal action against Future, also the father of her son, for defamation, slander, and libel. The singer has cited recent radio interviews and tweets from the rapper as proof. In addition to money, she wants him to delete the tweets he's written about her, issue a retraction, and refrain from publishing private information about her going forward. Things would continue getting worse for Future though, as just a couple days after the lawsuit hit, emails would leak where it revealed that Future apparently wasn't being a great father. In these emails, exclusively obtained by the Daily Mail, it would reveal Ciara claiming that Future returned their 18-month son child in dirty clothes, smelling like smoke and reeking of urine. The Daily Mail would also state in their article, the chain of emails exchanged by lawyers acting for the former couple include accusations of lying, missed drug tests, and a communication breakdown sparked by Future's use of foul language. Future is also accused of declining visits with Future Jr. and scheduling others for times when he was performing either out of state or out of the country. The emails, which are part of a package of evidence by Ciara's lawyer, which was only 3 days from that angry rant Future put out on his Twitter about his issues with the mother of his son. Now, whilst Future was fighting this lawsuit and probably spending a lot of money on lawyers, Ciara would begin engaged to Russell a month later, with him proposing using a 16-carat ring, which was one more carat than the one Future used. With this engagement leaving Future supposedly unhappy, as Russell would now be entering the stepfather role for his son.
I'm so proud of you. You found happiness. Okay. One monkey don't stop a show. You never have.
But Future would eventually fire back, submitting a counter lawsuit on the 8th of April, claiming that he can't slander or defame her because she has no career to criticize. Further explaining that if this happened 2 or 3 years ago when she was popping, it would be valid. And to add fuel to the fire, in his countersuit, he also called her most recent album a flop. Future would also state that Ciara is actually the one trying to create drama to get attention around her name, and that this lawsuit garnered more attention than any of his tweets did. Eventually though, it seemed like things were finally coming to an end, as in May, a Los Angeles judge would deny Ciara's request to have sole custody of Future Jr., where just a month later, Future would then drop his countersuit against Ciara, and then eventually in October, a judge ruled that a series of tweets Future fired off at Ciara weren't enough to warrant the $15 million she was suing Future for, with this marking the end of their legal troubles. But throughout the years, they would continue having petty shots at each other over social media, with it mostly being Future and him not being able to let go of his past. In 2019, Future was doing an interview on Beats One Radio as part of his promotional run for his Wizard album, in which he would be asked about Ciara and Russell's relationship, to which he would respond with,
"How you feel about nigga Russell Wilson? Real shit. Nigga, don't think about it, just say it."
He do exactly what she tell him to do.
I said, how do you feel about it, period?
That's what I'm saying. I feel like I don't have no feelings for it. I feel like, goddamn, it ain't no feelings for
Do you
me.
feel like nigga go too far, though?
I feel like he getting caught up
I'm talking about with your son. Do you feel like go too far?
He not being a man in that position. Like, he not being a man at that point. Like, you not being a man. You not telling her, man, bro, chill out with that on the internet. Don't even talk to him. I'm your husband. You better not even bring Future name up. If that was me, she couldn't even bring his name up. She know that. She couldn't even bring her ex's name up. And I don't care what they gave you, what you don't bring their name up in interviews. Don't even do nothing around them. No, don't say nothing.
Basically, Future thinks that Wilson is less of a man for allowing his wife to acknowledge the father of her child. And it seemed like Future would never be able to get Russell Russell out of his head, as 9 years after his breakup with Ciara, he would continue talking about her new man, as in 2023, Future would drop a track with Quavo titled Turn Your Click Up, where he would say the lines, "I got it out the field, Russell," which of course was just a direct diss at the NFL quarterback. So even though it has been just under 10 years since the two broke up, Future hasn't really been able to let go and just keeps bringing up either Ciara or Russell Wilson. It seems like that relationship really messed him up and he hasn't been able to forget, especially with the fact that Russell Brown is his son's stepdad and is probably spending more time with him than his biological dad. After buying a beat for $200 from the British producer Menace, at the time 19-year-old upcoming rapper Desiigner would upload his track Panda to SoundCloud, hoping his track would be the one that finally sets off his career. And little did he know, it would. After dropping the song on the 15th of December in 2015, it would quickly amass millions of streams, becoming a smash hit overnight, with the entire industry now having their eyes set on him. The genius himself, Kanye West, saw the potential in Desiigner, which led to him incorporating his verse from Panda onto part 2 on his album Life of Pablo, and even ended up signing him to his Good Music label in the February of 2016, just 2 months after his breakout hit released. Eventually, on the 25th of April in that year, Billboard released their Hot 100 chart information regarding the week of May 7th's top 10, with Panda becoming number 1. By doing so, Desiigner broke the 41 streak of non-Americans holding the number 1 spot in the Hot 100. However, all throughout his come up and blow up, Desiigner got very heavy comparisons to Future, with him almost being given the clone treatment. I mean, the song's opening line was, "I got broads in Atlanta," even though Desiigner himself revealed he has never been to Atlanta, he's from Brooklyn. The majority of listeners were shocked when they noticed that Panda was in fact not a Future track, and honestly, from Future's perspective, before the two even interacted, he was probably upset already as his clone got a number 1 charting track before he managed to himself, and also ended up getting a Grammy nomination before he ever got one. Now, with all these comparisons and style jacking accusations, Desiigner didn't try to deny them. He actually decided to play into it and even troll Future. In a 2015 XXL interview, Desiigner would be asked about the comparisons to Future, to which he responded brazenly, "I smile at that, I blush at that, but I have no hard feelings for the dude Future. He does his thing. Actually, I like some of his songs," which I guess is quite a cheeky way to respond. The song that made your career sounds like an exact copy of a Future track, and you say, "I actually like some of his songs and have no hard feelings for him." Come on, man. And just a month later, with him continuously getting compared to Future, he began playing into it. As on South by Southwest, the Brooklyn rapper would debut a track titled Pluto, with this of course being Future's nickname and also the title of his debut album. And Desiigner would continue adding fuel to the fire, as at his performance at South by Southwest, he would tell the crowd to stop comparing him to Future, where it also sounded like towards the end he was calling the Atlanta rapper the homophobic F-slur. And on the same night as he previewed the song, Pluto at South by Southwest, he decided to bring out a panda mascot during his performance, which fans thought was strangely reminiscent of when Future brought out an astronaut at his 2012 freshman show. And the most blatant Desiigner would get with his copying was when he decided to call his fans Desiigner Hive, which was a straight rip-off of Future's fans' Future Hive movement. Now, with all these comparisons flooding the mainstream talk, eventually Future would be asked about Desiigner. In a Rolling Stone interview in the June of 2016, Future would be very reluctant to speak on the matter. "I never worried about anyone else, I don't even want his name in the article." It seemed like Future may have viewed Desiigner as much lesser than him, maybe just a meme, a trend, or a vulture of his swag. Now, this response was actually quite unusual at the time, as earlier that year, Future actually told the crowd at one of his shows that they must be Ciara or Desiigner fans, throwing shows at his ex and the Brooklyn rapper, but it wouldn't take long for things to get genuinely heated between the two. On the 1st of August in 2016, Desiigner would tweet, "People need to stop comparing me to an old fella. I am the future, signed, and we out here," which was obviously aimed at the fans and blogs comparing him to the Atlanta legend, whilst also dissing him, calling him old. Now Future would see this shot from Desiigner and would clap back with his own tweet, which was pretty straight to the point. "You're irrelevant," at Desiigner, to which he would swiftly respond to 30 minutes later, threatening Future. "Fella, you better be on tour, cause when you be back in Atlanta, we gon' be out here, I swear," suggesting he's going to pull up on Future next time he's in Atlanta, to which an hour later he would follow up with, "Finna make a body drop cause I am still a Brooklyn fella, steal your credit card and finesse your baby mama as well cause she a hoe," at Future, where this time he threatened to kill him, steal his credit cards, and finesse his baby mother. 24 hours later, Future would end up responding to Desiigner, "Young Metro just told me he doesn't trust pandas. I'm gonna shoot you. SMH, I make fellas relevant now." Now, as we know, most of the time these internet beefs don't really mean anything, and as you could have guessed, nothing ended up happening between the two in real life. Now, the situation would go quiet between the two for a couple of months until the February of 2017, where Future just dropped his self-titled 5th studio album. And on the 3rd track, titled Zoom, Future decided to add a skit to the end of the song, where two fictional rappers make very over-exaggerated gun ad-libs, very similar to what Desiigner did on Panda. Now this alleged sneak diss wouldn't lead to much, and again the situation would go quiet just about until the June of 2017, where the British producer Menace would come out and reveal in an interview with DJ Booth that Future has filed a copyright infringement claim against the song. There was a situation with Future putting an infringement claim in because apparently he said that Panda sounded like F up some commas. "We were just about to see the checks, but there's been a lot of delays, so we won't see anything until next year anyway. The problem is that once someone puts a claim in, it just stops everything." Later on in the interview, Menace would also call out Mike Dean, stating that he put a claim in as well, saying that he did something to the beat and he never did, whilst also attempting to expose Kanye West in the interview, saying he was a funny one when it comes to paying people money. Not even an entire 24 hours after these claims, both parties would respond to the British producer. A rep for rapper Future would confirm to Pitchfork that these claims were not true, whilst Dean responded with a statement to XXL saying, "The kid lost the stems to the beat. It had some samples in the original from a film. I recreated some of the stems enough to patch up the beat and remove the samples. I was gonna recreate the whole beat, then I found a way to keep it. Major labels don't play with samples not being cleared. The song will never have come out or cleared legal at Def Jam. If that's nothing, then he's right. He should have better file management skills if he works at an electronics repair shop. He should get his facts straight before he speaks on my name. Hope he enjoys the bread and appreciates what I did to help him make money. That's about it. Menace, put some respect on my name. And thank God Mike Dean removed your samples, youngin. Should throw me a few points from his pocket my way, but I am doing okay with or without the Panda bread." Where he would later on tweet responding to the situation, "I'm not mad at anyone, just a producer was talking out of line about me in an interview. Give me a call, be a man." But just a week after Menace made these claims, well, he would take them back and apologize to the trio, as he would tweet out saying, "Please read, thank you," whilst attaching an image of a screenshot of his notes, which read, "I want to formally apologize to Mike Dean, Kanye, Future, and their respective teams for releasing unfounded and sensitive information to the media that could have potentially affected their professional integrity. They have always been an immense source of inspiration for me, and they will always be extremely influential to my work and my development as a producer. I hope that with time they will accept my apologies." And that would really be the last of Future versus Desiigner, with most of us understanding that in this situation, honestly, Future was right not to give Desiigner any attention, as really, he was just a gimmick, a dude that got a hit song out of nowhere and ran out of hype very quickly, as eventually in 2019, Desiigner would be dropped from Kanye's Good Music label, and in 2023 even got charged for indecent exposure after he showed his USB dongle on an aircraft. However, in the July of 2024, Desiigner would actually do an interview with No Jumper, where he revealed that Future dissed him after rejecting an offer to sign to his free band's label.
We wanted to make some moves. Me and Future wanted to make some moves, but me and Kanye was already in the middle of making moves, so it couldn't happen.
As in, like, he wanted to sign you or?
Word, we wanted to make some moves, word.
Did you feel a way that Future didn't embrace you at first?
Nah, Future embraced it. He embraced it at first. I just had my own movement going on with Kanye. It was just so hot that it was going on. It was just like, yo.
So in the end, it seemed like Future actually wanted to sign Desiigner, but after he chose to go with Kanye instead, things went pretty south with the two, and in the end, Future came out pretty lucky that he didn't sign Desiigner, as his career ended up becoming a bit of a mess. But Desiigner wouldn't be the only rapper to get into beef with Future because he sounded like him, as a similar thing happened, but this time with rich homie Quan. As he began blowing up in 2013, all people will do is compare the two Atlanta rappers to each other, with some fans even saying Future copied rich homie Quan. Now Future would deny these claims in an interview in the August of 2013, where he wouldn't really entertain these rumors.
Hey man, I do what I do, yet the best, you know what I mean? Like I started it, you know, but I don't believe, he don't sound like me, like I haven't really heard nothing but the song on the radio. I really don't get into other artists. Like that, but he doing good, you know what I'm saying? I wish him well. Like,
wish him well. That's
yeah.
Now, even though it seemed like Future was not bothered at all by these comparisons, well, it doesn't look like it was the same with rich homie Quan, as in the October of that year, he would drop a song which garnered headlines such as "Rich homie Quan, this is Future on new song." On the 1st of October in 2013, Rich homie Quan released the song A Fella, where he said the lines, "I'm back like the future, fella. Quan, you the future boy. Don't confuse me with Future, fella." Where in the Genius annotation, it suggests Quan is saying do not compare him to Future because he is better than him, which is what a lot of listeners thought. However, it seemed like Quan's intention wasn't to diss, just trying to put a message out to the hip hop community to stop comparing the two artists, as he would go on to do an interview with V103 Atlanta where he explained that the song wasn't a diss.
Right. But if you listen to the bars, what I said, I never dissed Future. You know what I'm saying? I never dissed him. And I don't want, you know what I'm saying, I don't want to get thrown out of proportion. Right. When the song was made, you gotta think like every interview I'm going in, right? They're not even asking me how I'm doing first. They're asking me, you know you sound like Future, right? Okay. And what I'm saying is like, man, I'm just tired of it. Like, I'm my own person.
But they asking him that too, though.
Right. You feel me?
And just a month later in November, he would be asked again about the alleged Future diss. I've got to ask you about the Future diss track that showed up online earlier this year. How did that come about? It's not a diss song. I didn't leak the song. I don't know who leaked the song, but it was recorded a long time ago. It's not a diss song, and I didn't diss him in the song. Not once. You can listen. The bloggers make it a diss, but it's not a diss. I was just being real. You think people twisted the story? Yeah, because I never leaked the song. I didn't diss him. People just want drama. That's what sells. Me and Future have no beef. I ain't in his lane and he's not in mine. I salute him on what he's doing. Now, even with that rough past, the two would in fact work together not even an entire year after their little dispute, as they would both feature on Young Thug's track Out My Face, where then a couple years later in 2016, they would both appear on DJ Esco's Champagne Shower. Now, after this last collab, we wouldn't hear of the duo again until 8 years later, when Quan started doing interviews talking about the duo's situation.
3 years down the line after this song come out, man, me and Future got a show together. We don't see each other at the show. I ain't looking for Future, he ain't looking for me. The kicker is, we on the same flight going home. If I'm in 2A, he in 2B, I gotta sit by this whole flight. Get on the plane, I sit down first. I'm a most of that. I might be 3 in before he sit down. And talk big, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been, and it was a cool ass talk. So from that talk, stemming from that talk, and then we got in the studio that same night, man. I think I said we did 10 songs in 2 days. Like, and it really just showed me, like, man, people around you will create something that it ain't even nothing.
Now, even though the two didn't have a serious beef, this is an interesting story that shows us how the media and fans in general can stir things and portray a different story to what is actually going on behind the scenes. Because to most, they probably thought this duo had some issues, when in reality, they made it up and even began working together. As part of his deal with Epic in 2011, Future was able to launch his label, Free Bands, which of course meant he was looking for upcoming artists to swoop up and probably give them an atrocious contract. Anyways, in 2014, one young upcoming artist would be making a lot of buzz in Atlanta with hits such as Danny Glover and Stoner. Many labels and artists were trying to sign Young Thug, with one of these being Future himself. During an interview with DJ Drama and DJ Don Cannon's Street LZ Watching Radio show, Young Thug revealed he had his sights set on signing with Future's Free Bands imprint, with him also stating that Future had offered him an enormous $8.5 million, which is much more than the embarrassing $25,000 Gucci Mane offered him in 2011. But to be fair, Gucci Mane did say he handed him the money without hearing his music first, and saying he didn't even know he rapped. I don't even know what to say about that. You're telling me if I just grab some guy from Atlanta and tell Gucci Mane he raps, we can finesse him out of 25k? However, just 2 months after supposedly making the decision to sign to Future's Free Bands label, he would come out and say in an interview with Billboard, "I want to sign with whoever got the most money. I don't give a damn. Could have been you if he was offering money. I talked to Birdman yesterday and he's talking more than anyone, so that's probably where I'll end up. I'd rather go there anyway. It's a dynasty." Well, eventually in the summer of that year, Thug would end up making his decision and would sign to 300 Entertainment. Now, even though Thug didn't end up signing to Future, he would actually work closely with his right-hand man, Metro Boomin, as Thug would announce he's naming his next album Barter 6 in the March of 2014. Just 2 days later, he would reveal he's actually dropping a collaborative tape with the Atlanta producer, calling it Metro Thuggin. Alongside their announcement on the 26th of March, they would also drop their first single of the project titled Be Language, with this dropping alongside a handful of other singles, with this spree of music beginning in 2014 and continuing to drop all the way in 2015. However, things would unfortunately turn south for Thug shortly after the announcement of Barter 6 and Metro Thuggin, as 100 of his and Rich Homie Quan's music would leak in the May of 2015. And to put it simply, this basically sent Thug, his team and label into a bit of a spiral. 100 songs is endless months and sleepless nights of music that was recorded, produced and engineered that they would not make a dime from, even though all that time and energy has already gone into it. And the worst part is, there was rumors that whoever leaked them had more. So as part of damage control and to circumvent further leaks, Thug would begin spam dropping tapes. First, Thug would drop Slime Season 1 on the 16th of September in 2015, then would drop Slime Season 2 just over a month later on the 31st of October, which of course is a lot of music to drop in 1 year. Most artists don't put out more than one project a year, and Thug just dropped 40 songs in the space of 2 months. But Thug dropping so much music would grab a lot of people's eyes, with one of them being his close collaborator Metro, as just a week after Thug released Slime Season 2, Metro would tweet, "Every day I wake up, new mixtapes are falling out of the sky. I think we all know where that trend came from lol," whilst also attaching a picture of Future, suggesting that Thug is dropping a lot of tapes, just like Future himself. Moral of the story is, putting out 5 tapes in a year won't make you heat up like Future. That was just his path, it's not for everyone. Now look, Metro didn't mention anyone specifically, but let's be real here. Thug just dropped 2 tapes and publicly rejected a deal from Future just a year prior. And if you remember from the beef of Desiigner, Future started dissing him after he decided not to sign to him, so it seems like a similar thing could be happening here. But Future is using Metro as his messenger. Now Thug would of course see these tweets. I mean, the two are allegedly friends and were just supposed to drop a tape together. "Hey at Metro Boomin, who you referring to? Put some names on that little boy," at Metro. "I think if you guys were to stop drinking so much cheap liquor and high-tech syrup, you would be able to think before speaking and typing. A fella music couldn't ever sound near mine's. I'm Michael, he's Tito. It's okay to ride a fella but don't agitate another one, little fella. I have none in the world against Future. I listen to his music makes me happy and I hope he continues to bless me and others with it." So it seemed like Thug knew Metro was tweeting basically for Future and told them to stop playing, whilst also telling Future he has nothing against him and that he actually likes his music. But Future didn't seem to take too kindly to these comments and would tweet back himself, "You will never have the juice like that," to which Thug was swiftly replied to, "What juice? Oh, okay, the juice Metro ran with?" Like this makes me realize that these fellas are really sitting in the studio together throwing subliminals at their own teammates. Where honestly, Thug isn't wrong. Future and Metro are supposed to be cool with him, but instead they're sat in the studio causing issues for no reason. But then weirdly, Metro would put out a tweet saying his tweets weren't even directed at young Thug. You gotta be crazy if you think I subtweeted Thug. That's corny. People are allowed to believe what they want though, true or not. Which makes zero sense. Metro's tweets are clearly aimed at Thug as he had just dropped 2 mixtapes, then he puts out a tweet aimed at artists putting out a lot of projects. And now he's going to pretend like nothing happened? Now the next day, it seemed like Metro changed his mind and tweeted at Thug telling him to pull up. At Young Thug, I'm in the city at the spot right now bruh, and we know each other in real life, so you can pull up whenever cause you know I ain't no hoe. To which Thug would respond by threatening to hurt him. I'm Metro booming, I'ma be the shit out of you fool. I would then quote Metro's tweet with nothing but a smiley face. Just a couple days after this Twitter warfare, Metro would come out and announce on Twitter that the two had in fact squashed things behind the scenes. Ain't no publicity stunts, this was a real misunderstanding with real emotions, but it's resolved. Thug and my brother for life, #Hercules. To which Thug would quote tweet with, I love you for life. So of course, this meant Thugger and Metro Boomin were cool. However, it looked like things were still not settled with Future himself. Nothing would happen between the two parties for a couple months until the 3rd of February of 2016. On this night, Thug was planning to drop Slime Season 3, whilst Future on the other hand had decided to come out of nowhere to announce a surprise drop on his Twitter, midnight Eastern, to which Thugger would see where he decided to clown Future with his infamous tweet, boy slow down dropping all that BS music, where Future would reply literally a minute later, about to get real in a few hours. Now after this tweet, Thugger wouldn't actually reply, so 2 hours later, Future would tweet again trying to grab his attention. Yo bitch wish you was me in real life, where Future would successfully grab Thug's attention as he would respond with, yo family team wish you was me little fella. Future would then tweet, new deal alert, Apple Music, where it seemed like he was revealing his true intentions behind this entire beef, to create hype for his project so he can fulfill his deal with Apple. Now Thug would respond to this with 2 tweets, I hope Apple save you fellas, or church, I'm on my Yeezy Slime Season 3, it's now, I'm up, tweet up. Overall, a night full of subliminal disses which overall seemed like they were entirely made just to create hype for both artists' projects, as Future would of course end up surprise dropping his Evil tape whilst Thug decided to actually switch things up, and instead of dropping Slime Season 3 would drop I'm Up. Now as the two were diss tweeting each other right before the release of each other's projects, fans began digging into the lyrics of their new tracks to see if anyone had made any comments about each other. Fans speculated that from Future's Evil tape on the song Lie to Me he dissed Thug. Tell that little fella to stay in his place before I expose you. You take one shot at me, you know that'll cause an explosion. Never fight the hand that feeds you fella. But really, these bars weren't really a direct diss at anyone, just Future talking his talk on a song. And even with all the drama between the two, they would actually end up both featuring on a track from DJ Esco's ET tape in the June of 2016. And to make things even weirder, the track was produced by Metro, the dude that was threatening to pull up on him just a couple months ago. And ultimately, it seemed like the trio turned to lovers, as just 2 months later in September, Thug would post a picture of him and Future with the caption, my brother, I'm sorry for the internet arguments, which seemingly ended the beef and showed the world that they are back on good terms. And since the two have become real brothers, just a year after their feud, they would release a collaborative mixtape together, Super Slimy, whilst also constantly featuring on each other's projects. For example, when Future featured on Thug's Beautiful Thugger Girls on the song Relationships, which ended up becoming a smash hit, and the two even managed to get a #1 hit together as they would both feature on Drake's Way Too Sexy in 2021, ultimately going from haters to lifelong brothers, cementing themselves as an iconic and legendary rap duo. Now, Young Thug wouldn't be the only YSL associate Future would beef about an album release, as Thug's protege, Gunna, would also get himself into a discourse with the Atlanta legend. But before we delve into their drama, the two have actually had many successful collaborations in the past. Future and Gunna first teamed up on Money Train with Young Thug on the 8th of June in 2018, where the trio would meet up again a year later, this time on Future's The Wizard project on the song Unicorn Perp. Over the next couple years, Future would feature on Gunna's projects, where eventually in 2022, they landed their first hit together, Pushin' P featuring Young Thug, debuting at the #7 position on the Billboard Hot 100, with the latest collaboration, the two producing being on Future's I Never Liked You Deluxe, on the song For a Nut, of course featuring Young Thug himself. It seemed like over the years, the two built a pretty strong relationship, with them even performing live together. The two clearly had respect for for each other, as Gunna actually looked up to Future growing up, with Future showing love back to Gunna as he would co-sign him.
What was it like for you to hear when they asked Future? I don't know if they asked him about the Mount Rushmore of trap music or something, but you know, he wound up saying, you know, it's baby and Gunna time. Like, what was that like?
It was like one of the moments, like, man, I look up Future, like, he's one of the ones that I grew up listening to. Even like now, like that we cool and we hang, I still wouldn't expect him to say that. So for him to say that from afar, me sitting on the interview, like, bruh, it was a good moment, like I felt good.
But in 2024, it seemed like their relationship took a toll behind the scenes. Firstly, in the March of that year, on Twitter, Future would share a link to Gunna's brand new Prada Dem music video featuring Offset, which at first was kind of a shock to fans in a good way, as it was the first time Future showed love to Gunna after he was released from jail, after his arrest for the 2022 YSL RICO. So it seemed like the two were on good terms. However, shortly after, he would actually delete the tweet, which was weird, and things got even weirder, as Future would then share a clip from his song Type Sh*, where he says the lines, "I don't hang with rats, that's some new type sh*, get a fella wagged on the news type sh*." With this, of course, being Future criticizing Gunna for his alleged snitching due to the plea deal he took against Young Thug and his YSL gang. Now in this video, I'm not going to delve into whether Gunna snitched or not, as that is up to you to decide. But what I will tell you is, after being arrested in 2022 as part of the YSL RICO takedown by the state of Georgia, Gunna ended up entering an Alford plea deal, meaning he pleaded guilty to a single racketeering conspiracy charge while maintaining his innocence on the same charge as a form of self-preservation, which would lead to him being released from jail, unlike his label boss Young Thug, who is still behind bars without bond. Now, some people say Gunna is a snitch because he did admit YSL was a gang, which of course doesn't help anyone being charged in the RICO. Anyways, moving on, Gunna would announce on social media that he'll be dropping his 5th studio album on the 10th of May in 2024, but it seemed like Future wasn't happy with that idea, so just 3 days before the release of the album on the 7th of May, he would tweet out, "Fuck your album, ain't slapping like a mixtape." With of course Gunna planning to drop his album in a couple of days, everyone presumed Future was targeting these shots at the YSL signee. Future would then follow up this tweet with an announcement that his tape will be dropping on the 10th, same day as Gunna, and Gunna would catch wind of these tweets and fire shots back. Turn that up a notch. Fuck what these boys talking about. But that would be left at that, with Gunna ending up releasing his album on that Friday, with Future leaving his fans with nothing, ultimately making it seem like he sent shots at Gunna for no reason. Eventually, later on in 2024, Future would end up dropping his project mixtape Pluto on the 20th of September. Now on this tape there was a song called Told My, which Future released with no feature, but just a year prior, in the March of 2023, the song leaked in full, but it had a Gunna verse on it, meaning Future went out of his way to remove Gunna's verse from the song and release it solo on his mixtape. Now there was speculation whether this was because Future specifically didn't want Gunna on his project, or in general did not want any artists on the album, as the project itself did not release with any features. Now Gunna would see this talk online, which led to him posting a story in response. It's not personal, it's just business. Now, with no other artists featuring on mixtape Pluto, then with Gunna coming out saying it's just business, it seems like this incident really wasn't a big deal. Well, at least that's what we thought, until the 4th of October in 2024, where Future would feature on ASAP Ferg's track Alert, where he said the lines, "You took a plea on my slime, wouldn't be surprised you ended up dead, slap. Done took a plea, out on your Cody, get killed like that. You claiming you sliming fellas out like that, you ain't built like that." With these lines pretty much being a direct diss at Gunna for taking a plea deal, allegedly snitching on his own gang and King Slime himself, with Future even leaving threats due to this alleged snitching from Gunna. It seems like Future is very loyal to Young Thug, who he has known his entire career and has built a very strong relationship with. So with the rumors Gunna allegedly snitching on him, it makes sense why Future would be so upset. And And this is all we have gotten so far from the feud between Gunna and Future, and in the future, no pun intended, I can definitely see this developing into something bigger, especially as it seems like Future is determined to call Gunna out as a snitch. Maybe once Young Thug comes out from prison or jail, if he does, maybe he will settle this and, you know, reunite them together, because right now it's not looking good for Gunna.